This is Chasing the Horizon, a podcast by, for, and about motorcyclists, brought to you by the BMW Motorcycle Owners of America and Web Bike World. Welcome to episode 133. I'm your host, Wes Fleming, and this time around, we have a newsless episode with special guest co-host Dustin Silvey of Lost in Gear, who will be talking with David Bartell of Admore Lighting.
My name is Dustin Silvey from Lost in Gear, half the partnership with Janelle Silvey, and I will be co-hosting today. I'm here today with David Bartell from Admore Lighting. So David, tell us a little bit about Admore Lighting.
Well, Admore Lighting was founded back in 2006. The objective was to make motorcycle riders more visible on the road and hence safer. And so since 2006, we've been manufacturing a variety of safety lighting products to accomplish that goal.
So one of the things, David, is he's joined up with us for our trip across Canada and down into South America. And one of the big things that we were really concerned about was being seen. Like all motorcyclists, we all want to be seen. So what David's saying is, basically he's tried to find a way to make us brighter. So could you tell us a little bit about some of your products, David?
Yeah, sure. So a lot of our products, we began with doing lighting for motorcycle luggage. And that lighting evolved to a motorcycle light bar. So we started the business in 2006, manufacturing lighting for luggage, basically for top boxes, for side cases. And that turned out to be quite successful. And what happened was within a couple of years, we started getting requests from customers who don't always ride with their luggage on their bike. And they were looking for some kind of additional lighting to take care of them, so, to make them more visible when the luggage isn't on the bike. And so back in 2008, we released our first light bar, multifunction light bar that gave the user tail light, brake light, amber turn signal functionality, and sequential amber turn signal functionality. So it basically flows in the direction of the turn so that the driver behind basically gets two messages in their brain. First, they see the amber signal, which is different than red. And secondly, it flows in the direction of the turn. And that product turned out to be very, very successful. Initially, that was an 11-inch light bar. And over the course of several years, we pared that down to an 8-inch light bar, which is more compact, but more LEDs. And so it's a very, very bright unit. And basically, the bracket that it comes with will allow the light bar to be installed on pretty much any motorcycle out there.
So just so listeners know, is you're actually a Canadian company based in Calgary. So, Calgary is a city, but it's not, let's compare it to an American city, it's not that big, right? So in all honesty, how often do you pull up behind one of your own light bars?
In Calgary, I can't say it's that often.
No?
Because as you say, Calgary is a fairly small market, but from time to time, I will see a motorcycle on the road with our light bar or our luggage lighting. Obviously always nice to see that, but you're right. Calgary is a relatively small market.
Oh yeah, no, I was just curious because it's smaller, how often you would actually run into people with your light bars, because that's, as someone who, even when I'm driving my car, I want to wave to other motorcyclists and be like, I'm cool too. I feel like I'd be really excited if I was on the back of that, and I saw this motorbike and I'm like, that's mine. Like, that's my product.
Yes.
And do you really, and obviously your answer is going to be yes, but in all honesty, do you really notice that you notice that motorcycle more than if it didn't have that light bar on the back? Does it pop for you?
Well, I mean, it's one thing to say, does it pop for me? But my opinion, I'm not sure matters that much. What matters more to me is what our customers say. And I can't tell you, Dustin, how many times over the years we've received emails from customers, and we get them to this very day. After they install the light bar, they write to us saying that they notice that cars stay further behind them. And I think the reason for that, I mean, there's a couple of things. First of all, drivers become accustomed to the standard tail light, brake light on a motorcycle, and they don't pay attention to it anymore. All of a sudden, you have a secondary light that is very bright but it's a secondary light. And suddenly the driver behind is saying, whoa, that's a little different. And so they pay attention to it and they tend to stay further behind. Another piece to this, people are never sure exactly. It's a bright red light. When the brakes come on, they think, oh, could that be a motorcycle cop? What is that in front of me? And so they tend to behave better when they're driving behind the motorcycle. I can't tell you, like I say, how many emails we've received from customers over the years telling us that.
So what you're actually suggesting is people aren't really noticing the light bar. They're just afraid that I'm a police officer, so they're getting away with it.
Well, I think that might be an element, but that might be an element to it. But I think the bigger thing is the fact that there's a secondary light, very bright. It has the tendency, I would say, to make the driver behind who's holding their cell phone, reading a text from their spouse, to say, I better put this down and pay attention to what's going on in front of me.
Yeah, that's good. And it's nice that you were kind enough to say they were reading a text from their spouse, but let's be serious. That's not usually what it is. But anyways, we don't want to make this a whole, just let's talk about products. So what kind of riding do you do? What got you into wanting to do this? I guess, what kind of motorcycles do you ride? What kind of riding? Just interested to hear.
Well, so that's a good question. Maybe what I'll do is, if it's okay with you, I'll take you back to 1993.
You take me back as far as you need to take me to tell me your story, David.
Well, in 1993, I got my first motorcycle. I was a young guy at the time living in Toronto, Ontario. I was in my mid-20s, I guess, at that time. And I bought myself a Kawasaki Ninja ZX6, or ZX6, as known in the US. And I outfitted it with some Jivvy luggage, side cases and a top case. And that luggage has lenses on it. And I thought to myself, you know what? I was concerned about my safety. My mom at the time didn't even know that I had purchased a motorcycle. And if anything ever happened to me, if I got into an accident, she would have killed me. So I figured I better make sure that doesn't happen. And so I decided that I wanted to increase my visibility, particularly in Toronto, big city. And I wanted to light up those cases. And so I went to the local motorcycle dealership, went to the parts counter, and said I wanted to buy lighting for my Jivvy cases. And the parts guy looked at me like I had just landed from the moon. And of course, this is back in the mid-90s. There was no internet. The internet was just starting at that time, so you couldn't search for anything on the internet. So he pulls out this huge parts catalog and starts flipping through it. And he said, I'm sorry, bud, but there's no lights for those cases. And I said, there's got to be. I mean, there's lenses on those cases. And he said, I'm sorry, there just aren't. I figured he didn't know what he was talking about. So I went to another dealership and spoke to the parts guy there, and basically got the same look from him when I asked about lighting for my cases. And he pulled out this big catalog again. And of course, no such thing. So I was pretty disappointed and, thought about what I could do to light up those cases. But at the time, LED technology had not evolved to the level that it has today. LEDs were out there, but it was used more. They were used more in instrumentation. And so, kind of frustrated and concerned about my safety, I rode around Ontario and I rode down into the States. I rode to Boston and Philadelphia, New York City, into Manhattan. And thankfully, I was safe with all that riding. But all along, I was very concerned about my safety. And a number of years later, I ended up moving to Calgary. And I guess fast forward to 2005, a buddy of mine was going to the SEMA show in Vegas. And he invited me to come down to Vegas and join him there. And so I joined him on the show floor. And there was a vendor there from overseas, and they had these incredible long pieces of something that were very, very bright. And I started talking with them, and I said, what are those? And they said, well, these are LEDs. And I said, how can those be LEDs? Because of course, LEDs, were always sort of bulb looking, whereas these LEDs just were very, very thin, sat on the surface of this piece, whatever it was. I mean, now I know it's a PCB, a printed circuit board. But anyway, I was quite infatuated by that, talked with them, got some samples from them. Within less than a year, I had built here in Calgary a light kit for my bike, which I then had. I bought a new bike. It was a ZX11, Kawasaki ZX11, or ZX11 as known in the States. And I outfitted it with lighting for my top box and my side cases. It had tail light, brake light, and turn signals. And And then I went ahead and I built another one and put it on this little known platform at the time, well-known platform today, a platform known as eBay. and within a very short time, that kit that I put on eBay sold. And I started making more of these kits, and they started selling on eBay. And I had a distributor out of the US give me a call wanting to sell our product. They saw us selling them on eBay. And we weren't at the stage where we could be manufacturing them in quantity at the time. Anyway, fast forward 6 months, 9 months later, I put some money into the business and decided that, you know what, this is something I want to take seriously, and built the business. So in 2006, Admore Lighting was formed. And here we are today with a wide variety of luggage lighting to make the rider more visible and safer on the road, and light bars to make the rider, again, more visible and safer on the road.
So 16 years you've been doing this. That's pretty awesome,
years.
You know?
Yeah.
And, you know, like I say, like, I know a lot of our listeners are American, but it's nice for me to, you know, have a nice, like, to be working with a Canadian company. Like, I always think that's great. And it's great to hear your story. And it's nice to be successful too. Like, it is harder in Canada because we have a smaller population, right? So it's really awesome to hear. Do you have a large market in the US?
Yeah, the US market is definitely an important market of ours. You know, what's interesting is that the BMW community is a huge community for us. I would say that of all the manufacturers or customers that ride bikes, it's BMW. And it's for that reason we've been associated with the BMW MOA organization for as long as we have. We've been going to the MOA shows now for the rallies, the national rally, for over 10 years. I think our first one was in Salem, Oregon, about 10 years ago.
So you're going to be at the one this June then? Are you going to?
That is the plan. Yes.
Nice.
Yes. We've gone to every single one. Unfortunately, COVID messed that up for us, messed our track record up.
But there wasn't one, so it didn't really mess it up.
There wasn't one year that got canceled. And the one last year was so close to home for us. It was in Great Falls, Montana, a short drive away, but the border was closed. We couldn't get across the border still. So unfortunately, we ended up missing 2 shows, which is, well, I guess we missed 1 show. Which is unfortunate, but we're looking forward to going back to the shows again. Because, like I say, the BMW community, and it's probably because I would say the BMW community is our typical demographic. It tends to be somebody who is a more mature rider, somebody who spent some money on their bike, and somebody who is family oriented, has a spouse or family they want to come home to at the end of their ride. They're concerned about their safety. They want to go out and have a great ride, but they want to make sure they come home safely as well. And so the BMW community has been a very loyal community of ours. And it's for that reason that ever since about 2008, all of our products have been manufactured to be compatible with the BMW motorcycle. So even today's brand new 2022 BMW motorcycles, we've made sure that our products are compatible with those bikes.
So are you suggesting that KTM owners don't have spouses that are worried about them? Is that what you're suggesting? You don't think there's someone at home waiting for them as well? Come on.
That's not what I said. That's not what I said, right. Dustin.
Oh, isn't it? Okay. I'm going to get some hate mail here. Not just BMW owners. It's just like this Dustin guy comes on here and all of a sudden everybody's hating on everybody that's not a BMW owner. Yeah, no, of course. I know what you mean. There's always people in it. And it is like there is, obviously there's overlap in every style of motorcycle and brand that people buy, but there is a certain characteristic that is kind of known for specific brands. And always there's overlap, but there are some people that are specific to a brand. I totally get what you're saying. I'm just
and I mean, there's no question. Yeah. And there's no question. We do sell to a lot of KTM customers as well. Indian Motorcycle. I mean, to all the brands. BMW has been a very loyal following of ours. I guess what I was really getting at when I was saying that was that, and I wish this wasn't the case, but we typically don't sell to too many 18, 19, 20-year-olds, unfortunately. They tend to be less focused on safety. They tend to remove their OEM lighting and replace it with, very, very small LEDs that just barely make them legal. And I can relate to that because I know, I was in my 20s at one time as well. But as you get older, you become more concerned. You typically become more concerned about your safety. You realize that life is fragile. And it doesn't take much to change your life. And so,
Well, I think too that comes down to, it's a money thing too. I'm 20 years old. I want to get a motorbike, but I totally get it. Like, as someone like, I was a professional fighter for a long time in my life, and taking those chances and those risks, it was like you say, we always thought we were invincible, and it's just kind of like, let's get on and go. And I remember I didn't get my motorcycle until later in life, and I remember saying to my wife, I said, like, I would have killed myself if I did this when I was 20. I was pushing the limits at, in my 30s. I could just imagine what I would have been like in my 20s. And, because there is that safety degree. And now, it's funny with this trip we're doing now, like, one of the reasons I reached out to you was because we're trying to be as safe as possible. It's so different from the mentality of let's just get up and go. When you used to throw a bivy sack and a sleeping bag in your backpack and go hiking for 4 days. Now it's like, okay, I need my tent. I need my sleeping pad. How much extra food do I have in case I get stuck? We really changed that mindset, and it's interesting to see that with, even just motorcycle equipment. So that kind of leads me to my next question, which is, let's be serious. Motorcyclists are probably the most picky people on the planet when it comes to anything. If something is wrong, it's the bike's fault, it's the company's fault. It's never ours. So what's it like dealing with motorcyclists, in this environment currently? With COVID and everything, I'm sure it's changed a little bit, but what's it been like, with shipping policies and I guess just in general dealing with them?
I mean,
yeah, I'm one of them. I should be careful there. Yeah.
Well, you know what? And we are motorcycle riders as well. And so, a lot of times I would say 99% of motorcycle customers are fantastic. They're very understanding. They're great to talk with, great to work with. We like supporting them. Of course, there's that 1% out there that are very challenging. And some of that 1%, you can never make them happy. And that's just comes with the territory. That's just the reality of business. But the good thing is that 99% of customers are actually quite good. And like I say, we do enjoy talking with them. And we're not perfect. Our products are not perfect. I don't think any company's products out there are perfect, or we wouldn't hear about all these automotive recalls and all the other food recalls that go on. So we're not perfect either. But more often than not, and this is one of the reasons actually that we don't sell through Amazon. And we probably, I shouldn't say never, but I'd say the likelihood is slim that we will. And the reason is that it is a technology product. It's an electronic product that you're installing on a motorcycle, on a motor vehicle. And it's often being installed by the motorcycle rider. And so that rider has differing levels of skill, as you and I talked about just before we started this podcast.
The fact that I'm useless at this kind of stuff? Yes,
no,
yes, we did discuss that. Yeah.
Those are your words, Dustin, not mine.
Yeah, no, I'm fine with it. I'm more than comfortable with my inabilities.
And so when you're dealing with that combination, electronic product being installed on a motor vehicle by a user that's got varying degrees of skill, sometimes things don't go as planned. And 9 times out of 10, we'll get a phone call or an email from a customer saying that, the light bar doesn't work. And, we'll say to them, well, why don't you try doing this? And we'll give them some troubleshooting tips. How about temporarily connecting it directly to your battery, see if it lights up? And, we'll be on the phone with the customer, and the customer will do it and say, well, I'll be darned, it does light up. So, they've made a mistake. They've tapped the wrong wire on their bike, or they thought they tapped the right wire, but didn't actually fully connect. So customers are great, and we enjoy working with them. And we've, and customers have been also sensitive to the fact that we have faced some supply chain challenges.
Just like everybody, right? Yeah.
Exactly. Everybody. You think about it. The automotive companies, the car companies, they're having difficulty building their cars and getting their cars to market. And, Admore is a little bit smaller than General Motors. So, if GM is having its challenges getting electronic components, you can just imagine a company the size of Admore, the challenges that we faced. Thankfully, we procured a lot of our parts before COVID set in. And so we've been doing pretty well with the Pro. Some of our other products, we've been having to wait for components. And we have a long list of customers that have ordered our new standard light bar that will finally come out next month. And some of these customers paid us in January, and they've been patiently waiting. So,
really, honestly, sorry to cut you off there.
Yeah.
Like, that's not that bad. Like, on a total side note, like my mom parachutes, she's a skydiver. I don't know. You think my whole family's like crazy risk, but this is like the most random thing my mom started doing about 5 years ago. And,
wow.
She's been waiting over a year for her her parachute and stuff that she ordered recently, a new one. So like, it's, waiting since January really isn't that bad. So, right? Like it's not, even tires. I know tires have been an issue with some companies and getting their tires in. So, I think your customers, that's good. They've been patient because they really haven't been waiting that long.
Right. True enough. True enough. Now, I guess from our perspective, we've been waiting longer because, we placed our orders for some of these components last summer and now they're just coming in now. So we've been waiting, 9-10 months. Now, we didn't actually put, this particular product up on the website till January with a caveat that it won't be ready. It won't start shipping until April. So people knew that. And yet people still went ahead and ordered. And so, that's a testament, I guess, to our customers' confidence in our products and our ability to come through and get the product to them. And we will be delivering on that particular product next month. And we're really excited about that. And that's our standard light bar. That we've been out of stock on for some time. But thankfully, the Pro, we've got good inventory on that. And that's been a very, very good seller, again, with the BMW community in particular.
As someone who owns your light and seeing it and enjoying it, I guess my next question is, why haven't you created any front light?
That's an excellent question, Dustin. And we've been asked that many times. And we did seriously at one time look at making some front lighting. Our feeling is that front lighting, the market is already saturated. There is a lot of product out there, an enormous amount of product by so many different companies. And we just didn't, if we see that there's an opportunity to bring to market something that's unique, then we certainly would do that. We just don't see an opportunity we do have some front lighting. It's handguard lighting. It hasn't been, I'll be honest with you, hasn't been a huge seller. We've sold, a number of those kits. It's for a very specific type of rider, obviously a rider that has handguards. And for that rider, it is a nice product because it gives you white driving lights as you're riding down the road. And when you put a turn signal on, it switches over to amber, flashing amber. But other than that, we just made a conscious decision not to focus on that particular product category. And given that we started in 2006 with rear lighting and we know that side of the bike very, very well, we've just decided to stay very focused on what we know.
You're just like a doctor, right? You just specialize. That's what
exactly.
So what you do right, you do it well, and then that's good. So are you working on anything new and cool? Is there, don't get me wrong, your light bar's cool, and I know you've just updated it to the Pro recently in the last little while. So is there what's next? What are you guys working on next?
Well, that's a good question, and not a question that I can easily answer. We are working on something. We have something in development that was supposed to be released this spring. But going back to what we were just talking about a few minutes ago, supply chain has really messed us up. And so realistically, this new product will not be released until later this year, and more realistically for the 2023 riding season. So basically for next spring is when we would do an official launch on it. I don't want to and can't say too much about it.
You got to give us something, David. You got to give us something, just something small. Just a hint.
I'll give you something, and I'll just tell you that it is a very unique product. There isn't anything on the market out there today like it. And it's something that will integrate for any customer that has purchased the Pro. They will be able to purchase this additional safety product and integrate it with their Pro using the app, the Admore Connect app. And if a customer does not own the Pro currently or is not interested in owning the Pro, there will be a variation of the product that will allow the customer to buy that product and still use the Admore Connect app to configure this particular product. And that's all I'm going to give you, Dustin.
Okay, so what we know about the new product is we can connect it to the old light bar if we already own, or we can connect it to a light bar that we already own, and it won't be on the front on the motorcycle.
It has to be the Pro.
Those are the two things. It has to be the Pro. Sorry, we can connect it to the Pro, and it won't be on the front of the motorcycle. I got to be honest, David. That's not a lot of info here, man. You're not really. I want to get excited here, and I don't have enough information.
Dustin, you managed to squeeze more information out of me than I was actually planning to reveal.
Well, there we go. At least we got the listeners something, right? That's the main thing. Yes. So I guess we want to reiterate where can people find you if they're interested in the light bar? I know you said BMW owners are kind of your big consumers, but at the same time, for those that aren't already purchased one or might be interested after listening to this, where can they find you?
Yeah, so you can find us online at admorelighting.com. And in addition, our products are primarily the light bars are carried by a number of BMW dealerships across Canada and the United States. So if you want to purchase online directly from us, you can certainly do that, or you can walk into your local BMW dealership and there's a very good chance that they would stock the product in the dealership.
So, and just remember that when you do go into your local BMW dealership, you're prepared to buy more than just the Admore light bar, because you will find other things that you want, and you might even upgrade your motorcycle. So I think all the BMW motorcycle shops there need to give you a little bit of a shout out for that one, David, because let's be serious, whenever we walk in, we don't walk out with nothing. So
that's true.
Great. Is anything else you want to tell everybody out there? Any other ideas about the company or anything?
Yeah, I mean, the only other thing I'd say is, the Pro is a very exciting product. We learned over the years that the motorcycle rider, I'll just make this comment, Dustin. I say this to people a lot. How many, the motorcycle rider is very different, or the motorcycle purchaser is very different from the car purchaser. I would say, probably 90% of customers that buy a car drive it off the showroom floor and really don't do anything to it. They might put floor mats in it. They might tint the windows. That's pretty much it. They just drive the car. I would argue that the inverse is true for the motorcycle rider. 90% of motorcycle purchasers, when they buy their bike, they customize the bike. They do all kinds of things, whether it's changing the seat, adding lighting, changing the horn, raising the handlebars, you name it, a ton of things, because your motorcycle is an extension of who you are. It's part of your personality, which is very different for most people that buy cars. And so one of the things that we learned over the years is that, motorcycle riders like to customize their bikes, and they want to customize their products. And it's for that reason, in 2015, we launched the first programmable light bar in, I forget the name of the town that it was held in that year. It was just outside of Buffalo, New York, the BMW MOA rally. And we launched our first light bar that was programmable. And that allowed the customer to change brake light brightness and tail light brightness and turn signal type. And we also had an accelerometer sensor embedded in that product. But you had to use a computer. You had to connect it with a USB cable in order to be able to change settings on that light bar. And so it's for that reason that this past fall, we went ahead and we released the new Pro that has Bluetooth on board that allows you to use, because some people say to us, well, why would I want Bluetooth? Well, why would you want Bluetooth? With that app, you can change things like the brightness of the brake light. You can change how fast the brake light flashes when you hit the brakes. You can turn off the brake light flash if you want. You can adjust the sensitivity of the accelerometer sensor, the turn signal type, and so much more. And so that platform, that Admore Connect app platform, is what is allowing us to launch this now exciting new product for 2023 that you'll be learning a whole lot more about before the end of the year. So I guess the point in saying all of this is that the app really allows our customers to set up the light bar, to customize it so that it operates however they want it to operate, not how we want it to operate, but how they want it to operate.
So you're saying that it won't be on the front. It works with the Pro, and it'll use the app. So we did get another hint in there. So we're up to 3. I'm sure that maybe a couple of our viewers might be able to figure this out, but I'm not going to lie, I'm not the best at this kind of stuff. So I like riddles, but this is a little excessive for me. Anyways, David, I want to thank you for your time. Thanks a lot. And just one more time, where can everybody find you?
So you can find us online at admorelighting.com, and we're happy to answer any questions that anybody has, and we always appreciate your business.
That's great. Thanks, David. And so that's it for me, Dustin Silvey from Lost in Gear. If you want to follow our adventure across the Americas, you can on Instagram at Lost in Gear and on YouTube at Lost in Gear, same name. And the website should be up soon too. Again, lostingear.com. Anyway, thanks a lot, everybody. Thanks again, David. Appreciate it.
Visit our website at chasingthehorizon.us to listen to every episode of the podcast and read up on various motorcycle-related topics. And ride along with us on the internet. Chasing the Horizon is on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. There's a mailing list with exclusive content and giveaways that are only open to subscribers. You can sign up for that at tinyletter.com/chasingthehorizon. We'll see you out there somewhere on the road or off it. Ride safe.